They say, do your best for your country, and it will do the best for you. Treat others as you expect to be treated. Everyone has a part to play. Your home is your castle. That is, until you are homeless. Welcome to Manchester, a large city with a large homeless problem. And it's only getting worse. Now, Manchester is not alone when it comes to people sleeping rough on the streets. You go to any major city in the UK and you'll come across homeless people trying to survive. Even most small towns and villages will have someone who sleeps rough. But who is to blame for this explosion in what some people are describing as the human garbage effect? Now, you may think the term human garbage is a derogatory remark, and quite rightly so. But this is how some of the homeless have said they've been made to feel by our society because of the lack of help that is no longer available due to government cuts and the funding that was once provided to help our charities. Now, they claim they've been discarded like rubbish. They're looked at and discussed, spat on, pissed on, pushed from pillar to post and even assaulted. And those in power would rather help the homeless in other countries than help their own. And because of this, there is little and no help available when it comes to trying to break the cycle of being homeless here in the UK.
The government put us down, saying that we're a waste of space, trouble causes and so on. We're not all like that. All we want is to be left alone and get off the streets. But when we try, you just get knocked back. We're not a priority. But you get immigrants and all that. I'm not blaming the immigrants in particular, but when they need accommodation, the government are fast to help them.
Now, while we were talking about this, a story hit the headlines here in Manchester. 300 asylum seekers were about to be housed at a Manchester hotel after a deal was struck with a government contractor that even surprised the local council. So maybe this guy had a point to what he was saying. I mean, it does make you ask the question, why are we helping people from other countries when there's people here in this country who are struggling on the streets? So how long have you been homeless?
About 16 months.
Nearly 18 months.
17 years I've been on the street, yeah.
How long have you been homeless?
3 years.
About 2 weeks now.
How long have you been homeless?
5 months.
So, here we are in the 21st century, and we still have homeless on our streets. Now, I think everyone agrees that in an ideal world, we should be able to provide security for those claiming asylum. However, at what point should our government draw the line to put our own garden in order first? Another thing I did want to know is how dangerous is it to be homeless, and how are you treated by the public? In recent years, the homeless have been attacked and in some cases even murdered for being nothing more than that, homeless. Recently, one of the most shocking stories to hit the headlines was that of murdered homeless sleeper Daniel Smith, who was found dead in a burning tent here in Manchester. And what made it even worse was that a total of 11 people were arrested in connection with the killing, but it was 2 men from the homeless community that was finally charged with his murder. In order to find out a bit more about how the homeless were treated, I decided to stop and have a chat with some of them.
Some people, when they walk past, it's the look that they give you, you know, it makes you feel so bad.
When their dogs go for the toilet, we're not even up to that standard. They look down the noses at us basically as if we're scum and we're just a waste of space on this planet, and that's how they are.
You know, they don't have to say anything, it's just a look. You know, and they don't understand that 2 weeks ago, I wasn't here. You know, I don't take drugs, I don't drink, so, you know. Yeah, it's just circumstances. It could happen to anybody.
Well, I was just about to get my head down, and these 3 lads came over, started shouting and whatnot, drunk, and then just set upon me. I defended myself. I ended up with a cut head, busted lip, black eye, my wrist was broke.
If you're on your own, you're in a doorway sleeping, you either get moved or sometimes people urinate on you.
Sitting down, minding my own business, reading newspaper. Group of lads drunk walks past, one of them thought it'd be a good idea, or funny to volley me in the face.
The shelters in the city are closing at an alarming rate, and people who were once our friends, neighbours and even members of our own families have no other option but to sleep rough on the streets, as most of us choose to walk by because we either don't care or we just don't understand. Now, I had every intention of giving facts and figures in relation to how many homeless there are across the UK and in Manchester. The only problem is that depending on which website you actually visit, the numbers are different, which would make you think that no one actually knows how many homeless there actually are. But the debate has got that intense that even footballer Gary Neville got involved and opened the doors to his soon-to-be luxury hotel that was having work done in order to give the homeless somewhere to stay in the course of the winter months.
The building's owned by Gary Neville and a few other footballers, and they plan to turn this into a luxury hotel. And yesterday I expected, when the developer came, everyone shouting the landowner's here, so I've literally run to the front door on the back foot, expecting to have to deal with a serious legal team, and we got the most amazing news whatsoever. He just turned around and said, look, the core element of the building's not being done until February. I don't have a problem with you staying there. In my eyes, it's just an empty building. And I was like, is this really happening? And I just burst out into tears, and I thought, well, what a guy.
So, when people like footballers start to get involved and you see more and more people living on the streets, maybe the figures that are given out are not the true picture. Because the problem with figures is that they can be manipulated to show almost whatever you want, be that a positive or a negative. But what is the public's perception of the homeless problem here in Manchester?
I have noticed a lot more homeless people around the area.
I think that people have lost their homes not through necessarily any fault of their own, due to the economic climate and what happened 8 years ago in the crash.
I think it's to do with the problems with employment right now, especially. I think there's quite little support for people who are looking for jobs. I think there's quite a lot of people being let go from their jobs, so maybe they end up in a situation where they get on the streets, things like that.
Charity begins at home, and I do feel that we need, my personal opinion is that we need to sort our problems out here first, particularly where homelessness is concerned.
Whether it's connected with the immigrant crisis it's not something it's not something I could say definitively.
I was living in Oxfordshire when my home was repossessed, but I had 2 main clients who went bust, literally one and then the next, and then that was it. I was lucky, I had family to go to, but I do know what it's like not, just to suddenly, at the age of whatever I was, 50, it's all gone.
It seems wrong that there's people on the street when there's people that have got so much.
The thing is, every person, business or charity have their own thoughts on the homeless problem, and I don't think there is an easy solution. But after speaking to the homeless themselves, it's now made me curious if it really is as bad as what they say. And I think the only true way to find out for certain is for me to actually make myself homeless and sleep rough on the streets with no crew, no security, no backup, just me, my camera and a sleeping bag. In order for me to at least experience homelessness to some degree, I've decided that spending one night on the streets isn't going to achieve anything. So I've made a decision to leave my family, friends and my home in order to rough it for a week in city centre Manchester. Right, when I first told you I was going to be doing this, what were your thoughts?
I didn't want you to go. Just didn't want you to go.
When you first left, it was okay. I was like, fine with it.
It's not a nice thing to do. As in, it's not a safe thing to do. It was a very strange feeling, and maybe it would be almost, you know, like if somebody was to go to war. It was that dramatic because none of us knew what was going to happen when you was out there. It wasn't something I'd like to go through again.
I didn't like it. I just hated it. I just wanted you to be home, and like, I couldn't even tell myself, oh, you're doing a good thing now, because I just wanted you home. I just wanted to know that you were like safe and fine.
It got progressively worse. There was minimal contact, as you know. It was hard.
When I was off, because it was over the bank holiday weekend when you first left, and then on the Monday me and Leah went shopping, like just without Ben, and we were like making plans to come and feed you if we saw you, and like it was just like the whole time you were away was like revolving around me, making sure you were okay.
When I was at work, because there was a couple of days I was at work, it was great because the support I had there, and yourself, it was amazing.
I feel like, cause like even just with me knowing that you were out there, it's even made me more aware of it and like more bothered about homeless people. And like, because I don't think people realise what it's actually like, because I didn't until I saw you come home, and I didn't realise it was that bad and people were that horrible to do things to homeless people.
It made me see things differently, and I didn't even do it. And the good that's come out of it, or will come out of it, I think it's going to be worth it. Because even just the people at work that I work with, just the way that they thought about it and acted and said things and supported you, the overwhelming support that you had while you was out there, it was amazing.
The thing is, I think I was surprised by how much support I did have. Messages on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube came flooding in. The general public were more excited about the homeless project that I was doing than the actual council, the police and, believe it or not, the homeless charities that I'd contacted, and none of them would help. The dangers of doing this are extremely high, so much so that the last person to try and do what I'm about to do was a young and upcoming filmmaker called Lee Halpin. Now unfortunately, Lee was found deceased in an abandoned building on his third day of sleeping rough for his documentary that was never aired. Now it's been almost 3 years since Lee had died, and I tried contacting his family with no avail. However, if that's a young man in his mid-20s, how am I going to go on at my age? Right, hello. Not sure what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to say it anyway. This is the eve before I go to sleep on the streets. Everybody else is in bed at the moment, so I thought I'd do it now. Obviously there's been a few tears because of what I'm going to be doing, especially off my daughter and my son. But I think what I'm doing is very important. So tomorrow my brother-in-law will be coming picking me up, dropping me off in city centre Manchester with just the clothes that I'm wearing and a sleeping bag and obviously my camera equipment. Now I have to say at this moment I'm a little bit nervous. Not sure what's going to happen, don't know what to expect, because I've heard that many stories about it being really dangerous, etc, etc. I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping that what I'm going to do is going to bring a bit of a light onto the problem that we've got. Obviously the problem that I'm talking about is homelessness. The 21st century isn't any better than the 20th, the 19th or the 18th, because we still have homeless. We're supposed to be a developed world, but how can we call ourselves a developed world when we still have homeless on the streets? I'm going to go out there, put myself in a situation that most people will find uncomfortable, and then report back what I've found. And I'm hoping that someone somewhere will be able to have the balls to stand up and say, right, enough's enough, let's get this sorted. Thanks for watching, and this time tomorrow I will be homeless and living rough on the streets.
Key 103 Summer Live with the Manchester College.
Right, so this is my brother-in-law Rick, and he's kind enough to take me to Manchester where I'm going to be sleeping rough. What's your thoughts on it, mate?
Gary, you're crazy. I feel like I'm taking you somewhere to lead you to something bad's going to happen.
Do you think it's worth doing?
I think, yeah. I mean, for what you want to do, it's going to be a first-hand experience, isn't it, of what you want to get out of it. So, yeah, and a worthwhile cause. Experience it. It's rather you than me, though. That's all I'm going to say. I like my bed.
What are you expecting to happen to me on this?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's going to be the nights, isn't it? It's going to be the hardest part. You would imagine, in terms of where you're going to sleep. You know how cold it's going to get at night. So, with you taking nothing with you, hardly. I'd take a nice pillow, nice duck down duvet, but no. So yeah, I reckon that's going to be your hardest part, but you'll soon find out, won't you, mate?
I mean, do you think I'm totally crazy for doing it then?
A little bit crazy, but like I say, you know, for what you want to get out of it, I think it's definitely your best way of doing it, because you're obviously there experiencing what, and then if you can't talk about something unless you experience it, can you? I suppose.
No.
So with looking at that side of things, yeah, but just need to be safe, mate. Stay safe.
Those words would ring in my ears for the next few days. Well, I've arrived in Manchester. I've been here about 10 minutes. I've already been spat on. which is not a good start. I haven't actually tried to do anything yet. I've just sat, I've had myself a quick coffee, and some lady came up to me speaking about Jesus. So that's the start of it. I'm finally here. What the rest of the night brings, I don't know, but all we can do is see. And when you come to Manchester, there are things that you'll notice. One is that we have a hell of a lot of talent in the city. But we also have some of the strangest. I mean, take this guy. He kept staring at me while he's pumping his big long balloon. Matter of fact, the longer you look around, the weirder it gets. Don't even ask. But that's Manchester, a vibrant, entertaining city with a long history in music. But I wasn't really there for the entertainment. I was there because I was getting ready to throw everything I was used to out of the window to sleep rough. But before I did that, I needed to start begging in order to try and make some money to eat. So, I found a vacant doorway, and before I was sat down less than 30 seconds and even had time to mic myself up, two guys turned up offering me food.
You want some rice? Yeah, man. Yeah, chicken biryani, yeah? Oh, you're the take the food as well, man. Oh, you're the good man. No worries, man. You need a brew? Eh? Do you need a brew? Yeah. You need a brew? What are you doing? Are you sitting here or are you going around? I'm going to sit here for now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. We're further up, you know where the gardens are? Yeah. Opposite the gardens, it's got Morrison's. We've got a van there full of tea, coffee, biscuits, chocolates. Once you've got that, you can go up there. I'm going to be around here anyway. Just tell everyone else that you see, yeah? I will do. No worries. No problem.
It turns out they were from one of the many charities in the city centre trying to help ease the situation for those who live on the streets by offering them something to eat and something to drink. After a while of my backside going numb and people totally ignoring me, there was a light at the end of the tunnel when a young girl who was passing by dug deep into her bag and stopped to give me £2.
Fair change, please.
Now, that might not seem a lot to you, but when you're out there, it's everything. Plus, it's not just about the money, it's also about being acknowledged by people to remind you that you're still part of the human race, and that is one of the things that the homeless say they miss. Well, just after an hour, I decided to go and sit somewhere to see what I'd actually achieved through my efforts of begging. Well, I've been begging for just over an hour, and I've managed to bag myself some rice, some curry sweet potato wrap, another wrap, box of Cocoa Pops, and £2.80 in change in just over an hour. So if it goes on like this, I'll end up being a millionaire, either in change or in food, one of the two. Kidding, by the way. So that's what I've managed to get in an hour, but it's getting towards the night time now. It's around about 7 o'clock. So fingers crossed, at the end of the night, or getting when it gets dark, I'll maybe make a bit more money. But what I'm going to do with this stuff at the minute is not keep it myself. I'm going to give it to some of the homeless that I've met, including the money, because to be honest, I'm not here for that. I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to get food. I'm here to document what goes on in the streets. Anything that I do get in the meantime, I will be giving to the homeless. Hopefully I'll get quite a bit. Now, let me tell you how this works. I initially decided to come with £5 in my pocket and then beg from there on. However, I realised that by doing this, I would be depriving a homeless person of something that they depend on. So, I took my cash card, and whatever I made begging, I would take the same amount out in cash and return what I had made back to the homeless, along with any spare cash that made up the excess. So, with that, I thought I'd try a different street to see if I had any more luck. Right, time, it's 8:30. I don't think this is the best place to be because it doesn't look that busy. It started off busy, but as soon as you sit down, it's like anything, it's gone all quiet, and people seem to be giving me a wide berth, full stop. It seems like they're making it their priority to get across the other side. Yeah. But for me to experience this, I need to go to good and bad places to see what the difference is. Now I've got some people walking up now. Let's see what happens here. Excuse me, have you got any change? All right, thank you. Excuse me, have you got any spare change, please? Thank you. Excuse me, ladies, have you got any spare change, please? All right, thanks anyway. Thank you. You see, the thing is, I mean, these people are obviously going out for a night out. You know, we're talking, you know, 10 pence, 20 pence, which is not going to really make a dent in their budget. You know, if everybody gave that, then things would be a lot better, wouldn't it?
The dry spell went on for the rest of the night, and I made nothing at all. So I decided to call it a day, and I went to get my head down at a place that some of the homeless had told me about. Now as night falls, people arrive in the city to enjoy what Manchester has to offer. The nightlife for the public is all about enjoying themselves. Bars and clubs are what Manchester is all about. But for me, I was trying to get my head down for the night, which in itself is a bit of a nerve-wracking experience for my first night sleeping rough.
Alright, I've managed to find somewhere to get my head down for tonight. Don't know whether I'm going to stay here because it's right next to the canal. If it gets any colder, because to be honest, it's quite warm at the minute. Today it rained this morning, absolutely threw it down. And then tonight, or later on, it was absolutely gorgeous. It was really nice. Clear skies tonight at the minute, which will most probably mean that it's going to be absolutely freezing. But at the minute, I'm near the canal. Like I said, yeah, let me just show you around, one sec. That is my bed for tonight. Don't know if you can see that. Like I said, that is my bed. So it's a cardboard box, flattened, my sleeping bag, and that's where I'm gonna go to sleep tonight. Right, that's what it looks like. So I'm on the other side of the canal, so somebody's going to have to cross over the locks to get to me, if that's what's on the mind. So I'm going to try and get my head down, see what happens. If it gets really cold later on, then I'm going to move and go a bit further into the city. Try and find a doorway somewhere over with a bit of cover over me. But at the minute, like I said, the weather is all right. It's quite clear. It's not too cold. I'm not even in my sleeping bag at the minute. I've just got my coat on. So fingers crossed, everything will be fine. So I'm going to get my head down for a little while now, and I'll see you in a bit.
I'm told that at night it can be the most dangerous time for any homeless person who is living rough on the streets, as people are often subjected to violent attacks from other homeless and members of the public, or their body can submit to the cold. Right, I've just been asleep for about 2 hours, and I've sort of like woke up because it's starting to get a bit cold. Clouds are starting to come across, so I think rather than chance being here and it throwing it down, I think I'm going to go and try and find a doorway with a bit of cover, just in case it does. So I'm going to move, and I'll see you in a bit.
Now, packing up my bed wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. I mean, it's cardboard. You just roll it up, right? Wrong. So after I'd done that, off I went.
Right, I finally managed to find somewhere else to sleep. It's in a doorway. It's not that bad, to be honest. It's getting a little bit colder now, so I've jumped in my sleeping bag. So fingers crossed, nothing else will happen now. It's about, I think it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30. I'm not sure, but it's round about that time, so I'm going to get my head down. Alright, so I will see you tomorrow.
Looking forward to a good kip, I was just drifting off when I heard two voices asking who I was. This turned out to be Dave and Sarah, who were long-time drug addicts. You see, just like any society, there are rules, and I was now literally sleeping in their bedroom uninvited. But after a short conversation and explaining what I was doing, they agreed that I could stay because they wanted me to show people what drugs had done to them in the hope that it would stop others using them.
Right, I've managed to come across two homeless people, Dave and Sarah. Now at the minute Dave is just using some drugs. I'm just going to film this, Dave.
Yeah, no.
Right, so just tell me what is it you're doing at the minute.
Well, that's gear, that's heroin.
Yeah.
I'm just going to cook that up, and then in a minute I'm going to put some crack on it.
And how long have you been on heroin?
About 30, what, since I was 19. I'm 50 years old now, and since I was 19.
And what about the crack?
The crack, well,
is that later on?
Didn't really become popular until about 10 years after that, really. So probably about 20 years with the crack.
Once you take this,
We'll be alright.
what does that make you feel better?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
If you have it during the day, if you've had it after you've had your first thing in the morning, that'll sort you out and you'll get a nice feeling off that. But all the rest of the things you have during the day just keep you feeling normal then. But
yeah,
a lot better.
So I mean, obviously when you take this in a minute, is there anything I need to be aware of?
Nah, he'll just go a bit more chatty than normal.
You don't become violent or anything like that? No? Right.
No. And even if I did, it'd only be towards you.
Cheers, mate.
No. That's one thing about one misunderstanding that a lot of people have about heroin addicts. People think that that's what it does to people, but you haven't. For one, you haven't got the energy. You haven't got the energy to fight when you've had it, or you haven't got the. You just don't want to fight. You just want to chill.
And do you wish you'd never been on it, or do you enjoy it?
I wish I never saw the shit again. I wish I could get up in the morning and never see it again.
I did it dead late in life.
Did you like it?
Did you? How old were you?
I'm 36 now.
And you don't look a day over 50.
No.
So have any of you ever OD'd?
I have done, not intentionally,
I have not
unintentionally.
I did ask if I could film them injecting, But I suppose that's the same as asking to see someone nude on your first meeting. So after a few strange looks, I changed the subject to the homeless protest that hit Manchester earlier in the year. Right, regarding the homeless protests in Manchester, what actually happened there?
Well, it was like we were saying, it was a case of, to start with, it was the homeless people was protesting about the situation and trying to get the point across. And
it was just all the homeless.
At first,
united.
that's how it started, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got a few people who was nothing to do with it, got involved just for the sake of getting involved and started causing a bit of trouble. And then the homeless people sort of backed away from that because they didn't want to be involved with the trouble. And it ended up where it was just the trouble causers that was
left.
That was there at the end, and so it made it look like it was the homeless people all along that was causing the problem.
So, in other words, what you're saying is the anarchists joined in and made it worse for you guys, really.
Worse for the homeless people, made it look like the homeless people were trouble causers as well as, yeah. They made it look like we was causing trouble to get our point across, which we wasn't.
With that, I tried to get my head down the best I could, with Dave and Sarah talking all the way through the night, and the prospect that drug addicts had a reputation of being highly unpredictable, especially when they knew I had expensive camera gear on me, and this was really playing on my mind. But my paranoia was unwarranted. Well, it's morning. I've just woke up after spending the night with Dave and Sarah and another guy who, to be honest, I'm not too sure who he was. I've just left them now, and they're now taking heroin and crack again. So I'm on my way to charge up some batteries and transfer some footage. And it's now Sunday, so I'll show you what it's like in Manchester on a Sunday. Some more homeless people there. Another homeless there. I mean, we must have gone, you know, just a little short distance from where I was, and there was 4 of us there. You got another 3 that we just passed and another 1, and that's just within a small distance. Well, I survived my first night, but I needed to speak to more people in order to get another person's story to what it's like living on the streets, and that is when I met Chris, an alcoholic that was originally from Yorkshire, but he travelled up from London, who had been homeless for the longest period of anybody that I'd spoke to.
17 years I've been on the street, yeah.
What made you homeless?
I don't know, I just drift. That's me, I've got a wanderlust, you know. I just like to move. I feel better when I'm moving, I guess, I don't know.
So, being homeless, is that a way of life for you?
Yeah, it can be, it can be.
And is it a personal choice to be homeless?
You don't intend to be homeless, no one intends to be homeless. It's true, isn't it? The housing situation, right? Why can't the government look after their own people first before they look after other people? It just made things worse. Nothing to do with me, that's to do with the government. They let him in. They let them all in. They didn't have a veto on them, you know. 20,000 can come in, not more, not less, you know. I don't know.
Now, this wasn't the first time that I'd heard this. Homeless claiming that they'd been failed by the country they live in and basically being discarded in order to help others who were claiming asylum. However, this isn't saying that there are not foreign nationals that sleep rough either. But while I was sleeping rough, you notice that a large number of those who are begging during the day are from other countries. And yet at night, most of those sleeping rough once the crowds have gone home are nowhere near the numbers that you see during the day. And everyone I actually spoke to were British. With the question of British homeless people being overlooked in favour for asylum seekers, I tried to contact Manchester City Council and some of the charities, and no one would speak to me. Well, I've been up since 9 o'clock and it is now 1 o'clock, and I've been begging all that time and I've got nothing at all. So I'm absolutely starving. I haven't had anything since yesterday. Very, very hungry. And to top it all off, it's bloody raining as well. So bit depressing, but you know, I suppose this is how it goes. One of the other things that's making it not a little bit hard, but what a lot of people don't know about me is I suffer from depression and I take tablets. So I've missed yesterday's, so I'm going to take today's, and hopefully that'll pick everything up for me. Like I said, I'm not major, but I have got it, unfortunately, just like thousands and millions of other people. Well, at least that's something I can relate to. Now, according to a report by the Homeless Link, 80% of homeless report of having some mental health issue, with the largest diagnosis being depression. Now, 73% have said that they have some physical health problems, with 41% saying it's long term. 39% take drugs or are recovering addicts, with 27% of those having or had a problem with alcohol. Having these sort of issues can sometimes stop you from fitting into society, but instead of helping, the powers that be would leave the vulnerable on the streets in order to forget they were there, much like we used to do for those who were different or had issues back in the days when we placed people out of the way in mental asylums. With the weather getting worse, coupled with not having much sleep or food, I decided to go and find a nice comfy doorway to get my head down for a few hours. Yeah, being homeless is mind-numbingly boring. There is nothing to do at all, and I can sort of like understand why people take drugs and drink and sleep all day, you know, because I've only been here a couple of days and my head is absolutely battered because there's literally nothing to do, and it's such a shame that people have to be doing this in the 21st century. Anyway, I'm going to go back to sleep now. Good night, and I'll see you in a bit. When I woke up, the rain had stopped and everyone was in a happy mood. Now, there was only 1 hour before darkness hit. Well, I found myself somewhere to sleep again, which is always good in these predicaments. Just show you what I've managed to get today. It started off really slow, didn't have anything at all, but I was given a blanket by a very kind lady, which was very much appreciated because last night was really cold, and I've made, let's have a look, let me just you see that? A fiver, 5, 6, hang on, 5, 6, 6.50, 60, 70. So I've made £6.70 today, which goes on whatever I made yesterday. Now don't forget, whatever I make will be going back to the homeless. I don't keep any of it. I haven't eaten since yesterday, around about 4 o'clock I think it was. So now I'm absolutely starving. Okay, but I'm going to get my head down, try and get some sleep, and then go and get myself something to eat, maybe later or tomorrow, depending on how long I last. But always good to get that fiver. It was a lady that gave me that. I was fast asleep and she woke me up and gave me that, so what an absolute diamond. So I don't know who you are, but you were a star, my dear. Obviously you just thought I was a homeless guy, so I just want to say thank you very much. You know, such generosity, a real lot of kindness, and I really do appreciate it, so thank you. But anyway, I'm gonna get to sleep.
As it got colder, I decided to head back over to where Dave and Sarah were. Only this time when I got there, they were in the process of injecting their heroin. But this time, they said that I could film it.
So how much would that have cost you then?
But that's just cost 25 quid for that. Each one of them are £5 each.
Right.
So that's a tenner there. And
yeah.
That's £15 what's on there, because the stones are tenner.
Right.
And the heroin are a fiver each, so it's cost 25 quid for 3 of them and one stone.
But you'll notice everyone saves heroin for morning.
Right.
No one's daft enough to get uphill.
So when you obviously inject this,
yeah.
Where do you inject it into?
I go in my groin.
Can I film that or not?
You can if you want.
Yeah, I'd rather you didn't do me though.
Why? Is that the same place? Do you do it at the same place?
No. Everybody does it in different places. It just depends how long you've been injecting and things like that.
And what's the reason you do it there?
Because I can't get veins anywhere else.
Right. Because you've been using that long?
Yeah, because I've been doing that long. Or your veins collapse and things like that. So you have to, like I say, do it in different parts of your body. And obviously I have to do it in the groin. Parts of your body. And obviously I have to do it in the groin.
Right, hang on.
Is there a light on that?
No, it's all infrared.
Right. Yeah, it's alright, I can use...
Do you want me to hold that for you?
Alright.
So do you start to feel it straight away?
No. Yep. Within the next 30 seconds or something, I feel it. Yeah. I'll tell you in a minute when I'm starting to feel it. Usually within about 15 to 30 seconds. Actually, I'm starting to feel it now. You'll know because I'll start to get more chatty in a minute.
I don't think you could get more chatty.
You're going to have to go, you.
You're going to love me by the end of this.
He's going.
He's going to love me by the end of this.
Yeah, I'm a recorder or what you film. As long as my face isn't on any of it, you can film it.
I said I promise you that.
In fact, I'm quite pleased that people are actually starting to recognise the problem and do something about it.
So with that, it carried on much as it did the previous night, with Dave and Sarah chatting about everything and anything. But since I'd had hardly any sleep the night before, I decided I'd go somewhere else on my own, much to the disapproval of my 2 new buddies. But off I went anyway. Come on, I was here to witness life on the streets, all with its warts and everything, and that included the dangers. I didn't realise actually how dangerous this night was about to get.
Well, I've just been woke up. I've been attacked, as you can see. I've got a out of breath. I'll bring it a bit closer so I can get the mic, because obviously I haven't been able to plug the proper mics in. I was asleep. Next thing you know, I was getting hit. I couldn't do anything because I was in my sleeping bag. I was trying to defend myself. I couldn't even see who it was, to be honest. All I could feel was punches. fucking cowards, you know what I mean? Fucking cowards. They've fucking smashed fuck out of my face. I think all my head's cut at the top as well. Obviously my eyes are all done in. And this is just purely because I was sleeping rough. I heard two voices, I think, because when I started to fight back and I was trying to get out my sleeping bag, they started to run off laughing. And hang on a minute, I think I can hear him coming back. Fucking hope it is them. Seems to have gone again. I'm not sure if it was them. Yeah, fucking cowards. If you ever see this film, you're a fucking coward for what you've just done. This is, like I said, this is purely because they thought I was homeless. Now, this is what the homeless go through. Fucking hell, I feel sorry for you, I really do. There was no need whatsoever for what's just happened to me at all. No need. I'm lost for words. I mean, I knew these sort of like things happened to them, but I didn't realise it was going to be as bad as this. But I'll be fucked if I'm going home now. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was toying with the idea of going home because I was that bored, because the boredom outweighs everything. Got my eyes. But I'll be fucked if I'm going home now. Fucking cowards. I'll see you later.
My first thought was to phone the police, but if I needed to fit into the homeless world, doing this wasn't going to help, because those who I'd been speaking to said a majority of assaults on the homeless go unreported due to the mistrust of the authorities, and it can make things a lot more complicated. So, with my head ringing and my body battered and bruised, I limped back with my tail between my legs to the safety of Dave and Sarah. But, as shocked as they were, I don't think they were surprised, as apparently this is quite a regular thing for those sleeping rough.
Now, obviously last night wasn't the best experience I've ever had. It was a strange old night, to say the least. As you know, I was attacked by a couple of cowards. That's all I can describe them as. I didn't get a look at any faces, or I couldn't even describe whether they were white or black. I think they were white. Anyway, they attacked me while I was asleep, as you know. I was in my sleeping bag. I could hear voices, but I didn't really think anything of it, because obviously when you're sleeping on the streets you hear voices all the time. I was half asleep, and then all of a sudden I was being hit. I don't know whether it was punches, kicks or what. As I tried to defend myself, I was in my sleeping bag, and the more I tried to defend myself, the more I got wrapped up in it, I think. So when I finally did try to get out of it, by that point they were running away laughing. They obviously thought it was a big joke. Now the scary thing is, they didn't know whether I was a man, I could have been a woman, I could have been a young kid. They didn't know, because I had my head totally covered. And that is scary, because you know, they really could have done somebody some serious harm. Me, you know, eye candy for the blind, face for radio and all that, but it's the only face I've got, and I'd like to keep it, thanks very much. So I'm going to carry on. It's not going to put me off at all. It is what it is. Fingers crossed you'll get what's coming to you sooner or later off somebody else, if you're going to start doing things like that. It's just unfortunate that I was in my sleeping bag. Anyway, getting back on with it. As far as what's actually going on, as far as the actual homeless side of things as well, obviously starting to see sides of it that you don't generally see. A lot of it's, I was going to say behind closed doors, but you know, in doorways and stuff like that. I've obviously come across drug dealing, obviously been attacked. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of nice people out here, but at the same time there's a lot of people out here that I don't think you could trust. They obviously don't trust each other. There's a lot of issues out here, you know. what the answer is to all this, I haven't got a clue myself yet. Even if there is one, I don't think there is. But like I said, I'm going to carry on, and fingers crossed, at least we'll have some sort of idea of why we've still got so many homeless in the 21st century. With this, I thought I'd nip over to the homeless camp that had sprung up in Manchester due to the rise of people sleeping rough. And this is where I met Jay, who said he'd show me around.
Right, you got a couple in there. They've got a dog in there. You got somebody in there. This one here is just basically for any rubbish or whatever, because we've got no bins. Doesn't help with the trash around the sides or whatever, but I mean, what can we do without the proper bins or facilities? But I mean, they're normally good people, you know, you can talk to them and have a laugh. You got a couple in here as well. They're normally out doing begging by now, but they'll come back later. You've got quite a lot of Polish on here, and the one up here, this one, you got more Polish, the big green one. Then the lighter green one, you got more Polish. In the little one there, you got somebody. See, there's a way of life. I mean, there you got somebody that's put up a little tent. You got the Polish in this big one. So there's three big tents full of Polish. You know, they're very nice people, but they like a drink. You got a couple in here. There's two lads and a girl in this one. It's like two tents put together. The back one there is actually an empty one to make it look like there's a bit more people on here, so it's safer. You got my tent here. Then you got there's a couple of guys in there, a couple of guys in the red one at the back. In the little blue one there, you got a woman and a fella. In the one next door to him, you've got a guy and a dog. Next one to him, you've got a Ukraine in the little purple one. In this one here, the dark green one, you've got, I think it's a young lad in there. And in the little one, you've got a little old woman.
According to the homeless themselves, it is now illegal to sleep rough in a tent in Manchester city centre, but the council will allow people to sleep in doorways, on benches, or even in a cardboard box. They claim that this is so that Manchester doesn't look attractive to other homeless from different cities. I tried to contact the council to ask them about this, but all my correspondence was ignored or filed under troublemaker. I continued to speak to Jay and a few of the others at the camp.
What's major homeless? Girlfriend cheated on me, kicked me out the flat. Because it was in her name, I had to get out basically.
Did the council help you?
No,
anyway?
Not at all.
Did you approach the council?
Yeah, I've been the housing, everything, because I don't take drugs, I don't drink. They say I'm not a priority.
You're not a priority?
No.
I mean, as far as the homeless thing in Manchester,
yeah.
How bad do you think it is at the minute?
I think it's really bad. I think if you wasn't aware of it and you didn't go around looking and actually seeing people, then you wouldn't realise that it's as bad as it is. I mean, there's ex-soldiers on the street, and I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know, it's getting so bad now. And I mean, I reckon it'll be a hell of a lot worse in a couple of years. A hell of a lot worse.
Cut a long one short, my ex-partner was very violent. He used to smash me flat up on a weekly basis. He used to beat me up, put me in hospital every other month. And in the end, due to all that, I was evicted from my flat. And basically, because of addiction, that means you're intentionally homeless. So, i.e., they will not accept you in any hostels once you become intentionally homeless.
When we do get help, if we can manage to find a shelter, I mean, they're beneficial to the homeless. I mean, because it's a form of address. Say if you need a carer address for your dole, I mean, it's just a bit of work to lead you in the right direction to get off places like this, you know, so you're not homeless. You know, if they take that away, then you're left with nothing.
I slept every night in St Anne's Square in Manchester. 2 doors down from McDonald's, there was me and several men.
What's it like for a woman being homeless?
Well, basically it's horrific. Other than the fact, if we didn't have the likes of the Booth Centre, the Beacon, MASH, which is Manchester Action for Street Health, all these places where we can keep our personal hygiene up to standards, wash our clothes, etc. It'd be a total nightmare, but I believe I've been told that these centres are now going to close, and apparently in the next few months there's only going to be one in Stockport and I think another one in Salford. Other than that, there's going to be nowhere, so my heart goes out to any woman that has to live homeless once that happens, because that's the only place that you can keep your hygiene up to standards. It's devastating when you're out there. It's like there's no end, there's no hope in sight, nothing. Everything is just black from what you see, because there's just no way out of it. It's horrible.
If you find yourself in this position, and somewhere down the line, I hope they're not, but if you do, try and get yourself in a group like this, because you're safe. You have just average people pulling up with food, hot drinks, a quilt, you know, just the basics, you know, but it helps you past the next day, you know what I mean? It's one more day that you survived.
One more day that you survived. I was starting to understand the real meaning of those words more and more. People can sit in a training course all day long listening to a teacher trying to explain what it's like to be homeless, but unless you actually lived it yourself, then nothing can even come close. I've only been here a few days, and already I'm starting to realise what I thought I knew is nowhere near the actual reality. After speaking to the people at the homeless camp, I decided to try my hand at begging again. I placed my cameras and then started to beg. At first it was the same old story of people giving me a wide berth and then just ignoring me, and this went on for quite a while.
Any spare change, please? Any spare change, please? Thank you.
But then, my luck started to change.
Like a what, sorry? Please, yeah. Cheers, bud, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Oh, you're a star, thank you.
Is that your first one?
It is.
Oh, well, it'll start you off.
I hope so, thank you. Any spare change, please? That'll do, thank you. Cheers. Any spare change, please? Thank you.
With all the excitement of actually knowing that I could eat later, I decided to have a lie down, but then this happened.
As I've been sat here during the day, and somebody just threw this top at me. It's just landed, well, it hit the back of my jacket and then it's landed behind me. So, and that's during the day. Obviously, I had my head down at the time. I was pretending to sleep. So I'm not too sure who's done it. Quite interesting to see, even in the middle of the day, homeless people are just being attacked. Now I know it's nothing significant, you know, a little top, little plastic top, but I suppose it's how it starts. After another day that went from a low to a high, back to a low, I decided to pack up for the day, because regardless of what you think, begging is like a full-time job with long hours. Well, it's 8 o'clock at night. I've made exactly £5, which I've given to one of the homeless ladies. I've also just been given some sandwiches as well, 3 sandwiches, which I've handed out again to the homeless people. I keep wanting to call my colleagues, that's how it feels, I suppose, because we're all in the same boat. I never imagined for 5 minutes how hard it was going to be. The only thing is, for me, I know that I'm going back home at some point, and for those that can't go back home, it must be a nightmare. You can understand why people get so desperate at doing what they're doing. You know, there's so many homeless out here, but at the same time, what I have noticed, there's so many people pretending to be homeless. It's really hard to weed which ones are which. The only thing is during the day you'll have absolutely loads around Manchester, Market Street, etc, etc, and then late at night you'll have a handful of people around the city just sleeping on the streets. So what I'm going to do now is sign off for now, and I might have a chat later.
One of the other things you start to appreciate when you have this much time in your hands is the architecture the city holds. Some of it is absolutely stunning if you stop and look. Anyway, as night started to approach, I bumped into Chris, who was a veteran of the streets with 17 years service of sleeping rough. So I camped down with him for the night and we had a bit of a chat.
Could have got tuckered. Yeah, could have got tuckered.
Spice, is it? Spice?
No.
Weed?
What?
No. You got weed?
No.
Spice?
No, I got nothing. I've got nothing, mate. What?
He's never heard of roll-ups, obviously.
He's a bit fucking forward, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Just a bit.
So what have you been up to today then?
Doing a bit of begging.
You get anything?
Yeah, I got a tenner off some bloke.
Oh, that's alright, isn't it?
Yeah, with his kid. His little son. He just went like that. Up. Just down there. That was this morning, after you left, not long after you left. And then bloody, they come out with the buckets for the prostate cancer or whatever it was.
Oh, I've seen them singing.
Yeah, that's
Did you
right.
see that young bird singing?
No?
There was a young bird singing, she was amazing.
Was she?
Really good, yeah.
Oh, I think I might have heard it.
Yeah, she was great. I thought it was a record at first.
Yeah.
No.
Here's another advert. Here we go.
What?
Do you remember we was on about, it's not brilliant?
Yeah.
And Accrington Stanley.
Yeah.
Who are they? Right, here's another one. You can't sing, you can't play, you look awful. You'll go a long way.
Yeah, yeah.
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat, that was
and
it.
it was that bloke from the Italian bloke from it, Hello. Do you
Hello.
remember? Yeah.
I can't remember that, I can't remember.
Oh, he's got curly black hair.
I've managed to marry up with Chris again. He seems to have bogged off looking for, just disappeared looking for a light now. He's a bit drunk, should we say. But, you know, he's a nice enough bloke.
Chris is an alcoholic and has been for a long time, so I decided to ask him when he started and for what reason.
So how long have you been drinking then?
About since I come to London. 17 years, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
So what made you do that then?
I don't know. Because it's widely available, I guess. Yeah. You don't have to go through someone to get it.
Yeah, that's
true. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like most drugs.
Well, that's easy then, is it?
Yeah, it's easier, isn't it? Just go to a shop, don't you?
Yeah.
You get it.
So in other words, the shops are your legal dealers then, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, Chris's choice of drug is legal and widely available in most corner shops. I mean, here is everyone kicking off about legal highs and talking about banning them, when alcohol ruins more lives and kills more people daily than any legal high will ever do. Chris was a really likeable guy and I enjoyed his company, but he had a serious drink problem. I must have seen him buy at least 3 2-litre bottles of alcohol and still look quite sober after drinking the first 2. And the odds are, he most probably even had more than that when I wasn't around him. Anyway, day turned to night and it was time to try and get some sleep in one of the doorways on Market Street, which for the homeless helps them feel safe and provides them with a bit of cover.
Well, I'm going to be going to sleep on Market Street here in Manchester. It's around about 12 o'clock, I think. Just had some of the other homeless here that I've met earlier, which was Sarah, who I met with Dave at the beginning. So she's just been here with another guy from Sweden. So I've just had a bit of a chat with them. Obviously they're all saying they're a bit worried because of what happened to me the other night. But you know, I've assured them everything will be fine. I'm in a well-lit area, you know, in a doorway, and I'm now slept next to another homeless guy called Chris, who I've met, who seems like a nice enough bloke. But I don't know how the night's going to go, because that's the thing, you can never tell. I managed to get some food, and with it being a bank holiday, that's been the problem. With it being over the bank holiday and etc., there hasn't been a lot of food flying around in charity wise, but now that it's coming back into the week, apparently all the centres are opening up again. So I'm going to go and check one of them out tomorrow, or maybe 2, depending, and have a look, see what's what. But from what I can see is you won't go hungry here in Manchester, which, you know, is a good thing, but obviously for people in power in certain places, it's a bad thing, because as far as they're concerned, it's attracting more people. But it's not about attracting more people, it's about being human, you know, and everybody has human rights apparently, not just those who come from abroad. Everybody has human rights, and that's why our homeless should get food, and we should help them as much as we can. Anyway, saying that, it's getting a bit deep then. Saying that, I'm going to say good night. And I will see you in the morning, as long as nothing happens again. It's 1:45 in the morning. Security's just been round the Arndale Centre and woke everybody up. So now we're all awake. Everybody's starting to make a noise again, so now we're all going to be knackered again tomorrow. Understand they've got a job to do, totally understand that, but the problem is now, as I said, everybody is now awake. It's going to take ages for everybody to get back to sleep. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, they were asking us to move
up to one of the other shops. I don't see what relevance it is, but it's their rules. But to be honest, like I said, I don't see what relevance it is, and all they've done is just woke everybody up for no reason whatsoever. Well, it's 6:15 in the morning. Just been woke up by security. My mate's just come back. Say hello.
Hello, fella.
He's just come back.
Come back from a crap.
He's been to the toilet for a crap. That's what he says. Yeah, security's just been. They were, to be honest, they weren't that bad. They were all right. He said that some of the girls get a bit panicky when they see us in the morning, laying in front of the door, which is sort of like understandable, especially the way we look sometimes. Chris is just saying that he was here the other day, and the girl was all right, you know. But you know, I've got to go by what security's saying as well. So I don't want to offend anybody. I don't think anybody does. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to sleep somewhere, and this doorway was as comfy as any other. Wide awake now. Well, to an extent. We'll have to see what the rest of the day brings.
There are homeless that make a mess, but what is rubbish to us may just be their bed. And let's face it, you don't take your bed everywhere you go, do you? Life on the streets is hard, and some people who don't understand make it even harder. The public don't realise that some of the homeless were once just like you and me, but unfortunately things happened in their life that turned it upside down. So how long have you been homeless?
About 16 months.
What made you homeless?
Bedroom tax, my marriage failed. I had a drink problem, and because my marriage fell apart, that's when I started drinking a little bit too much, and that's when my business failed. I had a business for 17 years. I've got 2 children. I don't miss very much. What with drinking too much, my business failed. All my savings went.
It's a few things. I lost my job, I lost my marriage, and I got evicted through a couple of things like that.
So what was it you used to do?
I used to be a panel beater spray painter.
Was that your own business?
I was self-employed, yeah.
What business was it you had?
I'm an engineer.
You're an engineer?
Yeah.
At trade? And can you not get another job?
I could walk into a job tomorrow, but without accommodation, nobody's going to employ a homeless person. Mm-hmm. So until I get housed, it's pointless me looking for work.
Where is it you're from originally?
Chester.
Chester. What made you come to Manchester?
The hope that there'd be a little bit more help here for me.
And what have you found?
In the way of shelter and whatnot, there's none.
There's far too much money going out of this country that could solve this problem. Here and now, it could be solved tomorrow.
No, obviously I've just been attacked.
Yes.
Have you ever been attacked?
I've been attacked, yeah.
What happened to you?
Sitting down, minding my own business, reading newspaper. Group of lads drunk walks past, one of them thought it'd be a good idea or funny to volley me in the face.
So where are you sleeping at the minute?
Anywhere I can. It's a case of trying to find somewhere that's under roof, that's safe, and where you don't get bothered by the PCSOs, the police.
The police. Now this is something I needed to witness firsthand, as a lot of the homeless tell stories about being pushed around and abused by officers. But with everything, there's always 2 sides to every story, and through experience, I know that people under the influence are not always the most approachable. So while sitting on the street, I had a chance after a PCSO approached me, so I decided to be a little bit awkward, but not enough to get arrested, obviously.
Yeah, you. Hey? Sat here. Sorry? Which bench? Can't be seen down like that, mate. Cannot, no.
That's just begging, isn't it? Where you from?
Not begging, I ain't got anything to beg with.
I know, but because you're in a position to beg, sat down like that.
Yeah. Alright, okay.
Where you from?
Hey?
Where you from?
Why?
You sat down here with all your bags, look like you're homeless.
Okay. It looks like I'm homeless.
Hey?
So you're saying it looks like I'm homeless?
Yeah, yeah, you got your sleeping bag in there.
Right, doesn't mean I am though, does it?
So are you homeless?
I don't know, am I?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. It's not a trick question there.
Well, why do you need to know then?
Because we're concerned for you. You obviously have had a beating. What's up with you, right?
I fell.
You fell? That old chestnut. Come on, trying to be nice.
Eh?
Trying to be nice here.
I know, yeah, I know.
Right, so what's the score?
I won't bore you anymore with the conversation, because I could not fault the guy. He treated me the way you expect someone from the British police to treat a member of the public, and that was with respect. The police are in a very difficult position, with budgets being cut, numbers dropping, and then having to deal with jobs that they have no real training for, and that should be handled by social workers and other professionals. So from what I witnessed on that day, this PCSO was a credit to Greater Manchester Police. So with that, I decided to move on and go somewhere a bit more quieter, just so I could speak to the camera. The only problem is when you go near the canal, ducks like to get involved. Got a duck quacking in the background. Shut up! Stood on one leg. Will you shut up? Shut up! Fucking hell. Now I came down to the river to try and get some peace, and to be honest, the ducks are absolutely doing my head in. They really are. And when really after I lost my rag and started to run around like a complete nutter, waving my hands in the air, I managed to get some peace. Right, it's day 4. I've been sleeping on Market Street, as you've seen. I got woke up about 2:45 in the morning off security guards. To be honest, they weren't aggressive. They were nice enough, they were pleasant. They did ask us to move, which I found a bit strange at that time in the morning because there isn't anybody around, so we weren't really disturbing anyone. And then later on they came around at 6:15 again and asked us to move. Again, not aggressively, you know, it was all very pleasant. So as far as the security staff at the Arndale Centre, I mean, a big thumbs up to you, because it is hard for you, I understand that, but professionalism, yeah, I give it to you. You're a really good bunch of lads, you know, so big thank you to that for, you know, not being horrible to anyone. You're doing it the best you can, and it's always good to see such professional workmanship. I'm not getting paid for this, by the way, but if you want to pay me, it's always good. The other thing is, like I said, I'm on day 4. I've woke up this morning and I found that next to me, which is £5.71. You know, I wasn't even doing anything, I just laid there asleep, and somebody's come down and put some money next to me, which was, you know, amazing. You know, normally I would feel somebody coming round and, you know, you hear people. I didn't hear a thing. So either somebody's really quiet, or I was really out, or it's a tooth fairy, but I've still got all my own teeth. So I made £5.71 for not doing anything. So that again goes towards all the homeless people, and that means I can eat as well. So that's all good. The thing was, good was about to turn bad, and things were about to get very complicated very fast, and I had a serious decision to make that was about to affect my whole project. Something unsuspected has happened. I've been pulled to one side by a group of males. One of them, quite a large black fella, basically threatened that if I stay in the city centre, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow. Now, I'm presuming by some of the things that they said that they're actually drug dealers and they're not happy with my presence, even though, you know, I'm not even interested in what they're doing. I'm more interested in the homeless. But I presume it all goes hand in hand, because like I said, I've been staying with some heroin addicts. So, like I said,
They've managed to find me, which is really scary, and they've threatened me and with getting out of town. Basically, I feel like it's a cowboy film almost. Get out of town, or you're not going to wake up tomorrow, or we're going to take all your stuff as well. So with that in mind, I have got a family. I'm brave to a certain extent, you know, but I'm not stupid. So with that, I think I am going to leave.
With that, that's exactly what I did. I left Manchester city centre and I went home. When I originally started this, I wanted to know why we still had homeless in the 21st century. But the situation is that complicated that even though the question is still relevant, I found myself in a world that is so diverse that unfortunately I don't think there is a one solution fits all in these circumstances. I'm not here to point the finger of blame at anyone. I'm here just so that I can collect the evidence, and then your job is to decide for yourself why there are so many homeless living rough on our streets. Are we the public to blame for just walking past and letting this happen? Should the CEOs of the charities take a cut in their wages instead of closing much needed shelters? Or is immigration really a factor? I mean, are British citizens being pushed to one side and overlooked to help others from other countries? Or should the blame be solely put onto the individual? We all know that life is about choices, but sometimes we as human beings don't always make the right ones. And sometimes those choices are not always ours to make. There are people out there that make life a damn sight harder for those living rough, but saying that, there are some out there who are real unnamed heroes, who don't even know how much they have helped, and to those people, society owe you a debt of gratitude, because without you, those who needed reminding that they still matter become just another bit of human garbage. But what about me, personally?
Now, I started this with a genuine passion to help and seek the truth, but instead, what I've done is walked away feeling that I've achieved nothing at all, and I've failed those who needed help the most. And for that, I'm truly sorry.